Hey everyone, what's going on? So I was just on ESPN a little bit ago and I saw this story about the Los Angeles Lakers losing by 42 points. And it was LeBron James's worst loss of his career. And the reason that it's interesting is because if you followed my channel, what I have talked about on pretty much every video for a number of years now is how our sports leagues, our mainstream media, our told history, and much more. It is all scripted by a system of ancient knowledge. There's multiple pieces to it, such as astrology and Hermeticism, and also Kabbalah, which is Jewish mysticism, and within it, it has a belief that God created the world by merging the letter with the number. And within it, they use what is called gematria. Gematria is the practice of coding numbers into words and phrases. And an example is LeBron James. LeBron James equals 42 in the reduction method, and also Lakers. Lakers equal 42 in gematria. And you might be saying, well, there's four numbers up here, but it stems back to God. And in Hermeticism, there's a belief that everything is the same and everything is the opposite. And if you notice in gematria, God equals 55 and 10 in reverse, and Satan equals 55 and 10 in the non-reverse method. And, even like words such as heaven equal 55. Notice the word hell equals 17 in reverse reduction. And look what God equals, 17 the other way. Think about, God creating man that equals 10. And he created man out of dust that equals 10. And Adam, the first man, 10. God equals 10. Satan equals 10. In Kabbalah, there's 10 sephirots on the tree of life that help you understand God. There's 10 of them. It's probably why binary code is ones and zeros even, So, just wanted to point this out. LeBron James loses the biggest one by 42 points. LeBron James 42, Lakers 42. Notice LeBron James also 114. And, look at Indiana Pacers. Indiana Pacers 114. Oh, the odds. Synced up to LeBron James's worst loss ever by 42 points. So, I was looking at this story. There's a ton more I could talk about, like just a ton more with it. But maybe I'll leave some links in the description. Anyway, I looked at that story and then I saw this other story about John Wall tearing his Achilles or rupturing his Achilles tendon. And just think about this. Think about all of the Wall stuff that is going on. Donald Trump gave his State of the Union tonight. We talked about the Wall. He addressed the nation on January 8th about building the Wall. Donald Trump won the election on the anniversary of the Berlin Wall coming down, or the announcement of the Berlin Wall. They told us he won the election that day. And in gematria, Donald Trump just so happens to equal 48, just like the word wall. The word wall equals 48. The Mexican-American War came to an end in the year 1848. Mike Pence became the 48th vice president. He won just after the Cleveland Indians were in the World Series and lost. Cleveland 48, they haven't won a World Series since 1948. And, much, much more. Donald Trump, he won the biggest election upset since the year 1948 when Harry S. Truman was the president. And that was in 1948. Notice, Harry S. Truman here. Just look at the numbers here. And then look at Donald J. Trump. You see the overlap? And the interesting thing about that is that North Korea was established in the year 48 as well. And Kim Jong-un equals 48 in gematria. So does World War. World War equals 48. Harry S. Truman was the president during the Korean War. And the reason that sticks out so much is because January 8th, the day that Trump addressed the nation about building the wall, that is Kim Jong-un's birthday. And then now he announces that they're going to have a second meeting on February 27th, which I'll show you some interesting things about that in a second. But just wanted to get it across, all about building the wall. And now we're getting a story about John Wall injuring, John Wall is out for the season because of fall in his home, right? And he plays for the Washington Wizards. Donald Trump addressed the nation about the wall from Washington. I mean, what are the odds? They're just making fun of you. He guaranteed John Wall isn't injured. And the funniest thing about this John Wall story is right in the article, the first thing they tell you is that the doctors noticed that he had a partial rupture of the tendon during a procedure done Monday to address an infection from the operation on Wall's left heel on January 8th, right? So they noticed a partial rupture on January 8th, and then he fell down at home and then completely hurt it. January 8th, the day that Donald Trump addressed the nation about building the wall, John Wall found out that he had a partial rupture in his Achilles. And look at what Achilles equals, 48, just like Wall, just like Donald Trump, right? Achilles tendon equals 60. Donald Trump also equals 60. The word wall also equals 60. He addressed the nation about the wall 60 days after the anniversary of the announcement of the Berlin Wall coming down, also the anniversary of us finding out that he won the election. That's why the same day that Donald Trump addressed the nation too, just below it on CNN, we got the story about the wrestler Chris Jericho signing with a new wrestling league, because Chris Jericho reminds you of the walls of Jericho, right? And it's all about Moses and whatever else. I've made tons of videos on here, but Chris Jericho, you know when his birthday was? November 9th, the day of the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall and Donald Trump being elected. Guess how old he is? He's 48 years old, right? So anyway, another interesting thing then, so, the story comes the same day that Donald Trump gets his State of the Union, and the State of the Union was supposed to be on January 29th, which is interesting because that's the day that John Wall completely tore his Achilles or whatever. So now he's out. He fell at home on January 29th, the same day the State of the Union was supposed to happen. And then now the State of the Union happens and we get this story about it. And at the State of the Union, Donald Trump said that he's going to be visiting Kim Jong-un again on February 27th in Vietnam. And I'm just thinking about how all of this connects. It connects to connects to North Korea and whatnot. Vietnam also equals 48 in gematria, just like Kim Jong-un, just like World War. And this 227 date, the reason it's interesting is because recently I've been covering a lot about France and how it's connected to a lot of the stuff that's going on. And this number 227 is important because the French monarchy fell 227 years ago on August 10th this year. And if you write out French monarchy and gematria, it equals 227. If you write out French Revolution, it equals 227. That's why Napoleon was born on the 227th day of the year. That's why the Nice, France attack in a couple years back, in 2016, I believe it was, that was on the 227th anniversary of the storming of the Bastille, and it happened on Bastille Day. But in mythology, Achilles and him tearing his Achilles is important because Achilles just so happened to be killed by Paris in the Trojan War. So a few last things here. John Wall, his birthday, September 6th to the day that he had the partial tear, is 4 months and 2 days. And once again, think about all this. 42. It's interesting, too, because his full name equals 42. And that's a super big number, important, too. being negatively stamped on black people all throughout history, you know. That's why Jackie Robinson wore the number 42. The super N-word in gematria equals 42. Rosa Parks was 42 years old when she wouldn't get off the bus. The word bus equals 42. That's why we're told Rodney King's birthday is 4-2. That's why February equals 42. It's Black History Month. Has the 42nd day of the year. So, just saying, just pointing all that out. If you add the end date, it's 125 days, which is interesting because North Korea equals 125. And if you go from his birthday to the day he fell at home, it's 145 days. And North Korea the other way equals 145. So definitely interesting. John Wall makes a fall, and then and he plays for Washington. What are the odds, So I'm sure there's more to it too, because I don't know if this 20. He's 28 years old, and this came 28 days after that partial tear, or after Donald Trump announced or addressed the nation about building the wall. So I don't know what the 28 means for sure, but have a good one. Peace.